Welcome to this video where you'll get to know 5 of the most interesting women that impacted the 1900s. Marie Curie, born Maria Sklodowska on November 7, 1867, in Warsaw, Poland, was a physicist and chemist who made groundbreaking contributions to the study of radioactivity. Her remarkable achievements earned her 2 Nobel Prizes in different scientific fields, making her one of the most influential scientists in history. Curie's life was marked by both extraordinary accomplishments and significant personal challenges. Marie was the youngest of 5 children in a family that placed a high value on education. Her father, Władysław Sklodowski, was a teacher of mathematics and physics, and her mother, Bronislawa, managed a prestigious boarding school for girls. Despite their intellectual environment, the family faced severe financial difficulties due to political turmoil and the loss of Bronislawa to tuberculosis when Marie was just 10 years old. Marie excelled in school, demonstrating a particular aptitude for mathematics and physics. However, higher education opportunities for women were limited in Russian-controlled Poland. Undeterred, Marie and her sister Bronislawa joined the Flying University, a clandestine institution in Warsaw that provided education to women. In 1891, Marie moved to Paris to continue her studies at the Sorbonne, where she earned degrees in physics and mathematics. In Paris, Marie met Pierre Curie, a professor at the School of Physics. They married in 1895, forming a partnership that would be both personal and professional. The couple shared a deep passion for science, which led them to explore the then mysterious phenomenon of radioactivity, recently discovered by Henry Becquerel. Marie's early research focused on uranium rays, leading her to hypothesize that the emission of rays from uranium compounds could be an atomic property. This insight laid the foundation for her doctoral thesis and the discovery of 2 new elements, polonium, named after her native Poland, and radium. In 1903, Marie and Pierre Curie, along with Henry Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their research on radioactivity. This recognition made Marie the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. The Curies used their prize money to continue their research under difficult conditions, often working with makeshift equipment in a dilapidated shed. Tragedy struck in 1906 when Pierre Curie died in a street accident. Despite this devastating loss, Marie continued their work with determination. She took over Pierre's teaching position at the Sorbonne, becoming the first woman to teach there. In 1911, she was awarded her 2nd Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her discovery of radium and polonium and her investigation of their properties. This achievement made her the first person to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields. During World War I, Curie recognized the potential of X-ray technology in medical diagnostics and treatment. She developed mobile radiography units, known as Little Curies, which she equipped with X-ray machines and trained herself as a radiologist. Along with her daughter Irene, Curie traveled to the front lines, providing essential medical care to wounded soldiers and significantly advancing battlefield medicine. After the war, Curie continued her research and advocacy for scientific advancement. She founded the Radium Institute in Paris, which became a major center for nuclear physics and chemistry research. Curie's work laid the groundwork for the development of X-ray machines and cancer treatments. Despite her monumental achievements, Curie faced significant challenges, including gender bias and health issues. Prolonged exposure to radioactive materials led to chronic health problems, including cataracts and severe anemia. She succumbed to aplastic anemia on July 4, 1934, a condition likely caused by her extensive exposure to radiation. Curie's legacy endures through the numerous scientific advancements her work enabled and the institutions she established. The Curie Institutes in Paris and Warsaw continue to be leading research centers in medicine and science. Her life and work have inspired generations of scientists, particularly women, to pursue careers in science and push the boundaries of human knowledge. Curie's personal life was marked by resilience and dedication. Despite the challenges of balancing her roles as a scientist, wife, and mother, she remained steadfast in her pursuit of knowledge. Her relationship with Pierre was one of mutual respect and collaboration, and their partnership is often celebrated as one of the great scientific duos in history. Curie was also a devoted mother to her two daughters, Irene and Eve. Irene followed in her mother's footsteps, winning a Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1935 with her husband, Frédéric Joliot-Curie, for their work on artificial radioactivity. Eve became a writer and journalist, chronicling her mother's life in the biography, Madame Curie. Marie Curie's contributions to science have been recognized worldwide. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes, and remains the only person to have won Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields. Her pioneering research on radioactivity revolutionized the field of physics and chemistry, leading to advancements in medical treatments and scientific understanding. Curie's honors include numerous awards and recognition from scientific and academic institutions globally. She was the first woman to be entombed on her own merits in the Pantheon in Paris, France's highest honor. Her name and legacy continue to inspire and resonate within the scientific community and beyond. Marie Curie's life is a testament to the power of intellect, determination, and perseverance. Her groundbreaking research and discoveries opened new frontiers in science, medicine, and technology. Curie not only overcame immense personal and professional obstacles but also paved the way for future generations of women in science. Her legacy is a beacon of inspiration, reminding us of the limitless potential of human inquiry and the enduring impact of scientific discovery. Virginia Woolf, born Adeline Virginia Stephen on January 25, 1882, in London, England, was one of the foremost modernist writers of the 20th century. Her innovative narrative techniques and exploration of the inner lives of her characters left an indelible mark on literature. Beyond her contributions to fiction, Woolf was a significant figure in the Bloomsbury Group and a pioneering feminist thinker. Virginia Woolf was born into a well-connected and intellectually vibrant family. Her father, Sir Leslie Stephen, was a notable historian, author, critic, and mountaineer, while her mother, Julia Princep Duckworth Stephen, was a renowned beauty and a model for pre-Raphaelite painters. Virginia grew up in a literary and artistic milieu, with frequent visitors including Henry James, Thomas Hardy, and George Eliot. The Stephen children were homeschooled by their parents, receiving a rigorous education. Virginia was particularly influenced by her father's extensive library, where she read voraciously. Despite this intellectual stimulation, her early life was marred by trauma. The death of her mother in 1895, when Virginia was just 13, followed by the death of her half-sister Stella 2 years later, led to her first mental breakdown. These losses, compounded by the subsequent death of her father in 1904 and the sexual abuse she suffered at the hands of her half-brothers, contributed to her lifelong struggles with mental health. After their father's death, Virginia and her siblings moved to the Bloomsbury district of London, where they began to host regular gatherings of intellectuals and artists. This circle, known as the Bloomsbury Group, included figures such as economist John Maynard Keynes, biographer Lytton Strachey, and painter Duncan Grant. The group rejected the rigid norms of Victorian society, advocating for a more open and progressive approach to art, politics, and personal relationships. It was within this stimulating environment that Virginia's literary career began to flourish. Her first novel, The Voyage Out, was published in 1915, and while it received modest acclaim, it marked the beginning of her exploration into the deeper psychological aspects of her characters. In 1912, Virginia married Leonard Woolf, a writer, political theorist, and former colonial administrator. Their marriage was both a personal and professional partnership. In 1917, the Woolfs founded the Hogarth Press, which became a crucial outlet for modernist literature. The press published Virginia's works, including her most experimental novels, as well as those of other prominent writers like T.S. Eliot and Sigmund Freud. Woolf's work is celebrated for its narrative innovation and deep psychological insight. Her novel, Mrs. Dalloway, 1925, is a seminal example of stream of consciousness technique, capturing the thoughts and experiences of its characters in a single day. To the Lighthouse, 1927, delves into themes of time, memory, and family dynamics, using a fragmented narrative structure that was revolutionary for its time. In Orlando, 1928, Woolf played with biography and fantasy, chronicling the life of a gender-fluid protagonist who lives for centuries. This work, inspired by her close relationship with Vita Sackville West, challenged conventional notions of gender and sexuality. Virginia Woolf's impact on feminist thought is profound. Her extended essay, A Room of One's Own, 1929, argues for the financial and intellectual independence of women, asserting that a woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. This work remains a cornerstone of feminist literature, highlighting the systemic barriers women face in pursuing creative and intellectual endeavors. In Three Guineas, 1938, Woolf further explored the intersections of patriarchy, war, and education. Her incisive critique of the social structures that perpetuate gender inequality and violence against women continues to resonate with contemporary feminist discourse. Throughout her life, Woolf battled severe bouts of depression and mental illness, which today might be understood as bipolar disorder. Despite her intellectual achievements, these struggles were a constant presence, exacerbated by the traumas of her early life. She experienced periodic breakdowns and was often plagued by voices and visions. The onset of World War II and the destruction of her London home during the Blitz deeply affected Woolf. Her mental health deteriorated, and she feared another breakdown. On March 28, 1941, Woolf filled her pockets with stones and walked into the River Ouse near her home in Sussex, drowning herself. She left behind poignant letters to Leonard and her sister Vanessa, expressing her despair and her belief that she could no longer continue to live a life so fraught with mental anguish. Virginia Woolf's legacy endures through her innovative literary contributions and her influential feminist writings. Her work has inspired countless writers and thinkers, and her exploration of consciousness and the human condition remains profoundly relevant. Woolf's novels and essays continue to be studied and celebrated for their depth, insight, and revolutionary approach to narrative form. Margaret Sanger, born Margaret Higgins on September 14, 1879, in Corning, New York, was a pioneering nurse, sex educator, and birth control advocate who significantly influenced women's reproductive rights. Her relentless activism led to the establishment of organizations that eventually became the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Sanger's work fundamentally changed societal attitudes towards family planning and women's autonomy over their bodies. Margaret Sanger was the sixth of 11 children born to Michael Hennessy Higgins, a stonemason, and Anne Purcell Higgins, a devout Catholic. Her father was a free thinker who encouraged critical thinking and questioning of traditional norms, while her mother, burdened by frequent pregnancies, died at the age of 49. The contrast between her parents' beliefs and the toll of her mother's childbearing had a profound impact on Sanger's future advocacy for birth control. Sanger attended Claverack College, a preparatory school in Claverack, New York, and later enrolled in nursing training at White Plains Hospital. Her education was interrupted when she married William Sanger, an architect, in 1902. The couple had 3 children, but Margaret continued her nursing studies informally, particularly focusing on the health and hygiene of women and children. The Sangers moved to New York City, where Margaret worked as a visiting nurse in the impoverished Lower East Side. Here, she witnessed the dire consequences of uncontrolled fertility, including poverty, illness, and maternal and infant mortality. These experiences ignited her passion for women's health and reproductive rights. In 1912, Sanger began writing a column called What Every Girl Should Know for the socialist magazine, The Call. Her articles addressed sexual health and birth control, topics considered taboo at the time. Her direct confrontation of these issues led to conflicts with authorities, as the Comstock laws prohibited the dissemination of contraceptive information. Determined to break the silence on birth control, Sanger published a pamphlet titled Family Limitation in 1914, which provided explicit information on contraceptive methods. This action led to charges under the Comstock Act, prompting Sanger to flee to Europe to avoid arrest. In Europe, she studied birth control methods and met with prominent birth control advocates. Upon her return to the United States in 1915, Sanger faced trial but garnered significant public support, which led to the dropping of charges. In 1916, she opened the first birth control clinic in the United States in Brownsville, Brooklyn. The clinic was raided, and Sanger was arrested, but the trial and her subsequent imprisonment galvanized public support and brought significant attention to the birth control movement. In 1921, Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, which later became the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Her efforts extended internationally with the founding of the International Planned Parenthood Federation in 1952, promoting family planning and reproductive health globally. Sanger's work was not without controversy. She faced criticism for her association with eugenics, a movement that advocated for improving the genetic quality of the human population. Sanger believed that birth control could help prevent the birth of individuals with severe genetic disorders, but her involvement with eugenics has led to complex discussions about her legacy. Margaret Sanger's personal life was as tumultuous as her public career. Her marriage to William Sanger ended in divorce in 1921. She later married James Noah H. Slee, an oil tycoon, who supported her work financially. Despite the challenges, Sanger remained dedicated to her cause, working tirelessly to promote reproductive rights until her death. Sanger's impact on women's rights and health is immeasurable. She succeeded in changing public perceptions of birth control and advocating for women's right to control their own bodies. Her work laid the foundation for modern reproductive health services and significantly advanced the cause of women's liberation. In her later years, Sanger continued to advocate for birth control, although she faced health issues. She retired to Tucson, Arizona, where she remained active in the movement. Margaret Sanger died on September 6, 1966, just a year after the Supreme Court's landmark decision in Griswold v. Connecticut, which recognized the constitutional right to privacy in marital relations and effectively legalized birth control for married couples. Margaret Sanger's life was a testament to her unwavering commitment to women's reproductive rights. Her advocacy for birth control revolutionized public health, provided women with greater autonomy, and laid the groundwork for future advancements in reproductive health care. Despite the controversies surrounding her views on eugenics, Sanger's contributions to women's rights and public health remained significant and enduring. Her legacy continues to influence contemporary discussions on reproductive rights and women's health, highlighting the enduring importance of her pioneering work. Helen Keller, born on June 27, 1880, in Tuscumbia, Alabama, USA, overcame incredible challenges to become a symbol of resilience, determination, and advocacy for the disabled. Deaf and blind from a young age, Keller defied the odds and became a prolific writer, speaker, and activist, advocating tirelessly for the rights and welfare of people with disabilities. Helen Adams Keller was born to Captain Arthur H. Keller, a former officer of the Confederate Army, and Kate Adams Keller, both of whom were prominent figures in their community. At the age of 19 months, Helen contracted an illness, speculated to be scarlet fever or meningitis, that left her deaf and blind. Without sight or hearing, young Helen was unable to communicate, which led to frequent tantrums and frustration. In 1887, Keller's parents sought help from Alexander Graham Bell, who suggested they contact the Perkins School for the Blind in Boston. Anne Sullivan, a visually impaired teacher and recent graduate of Perkins, was assigned to be Helen's instructor. Sullivan arrived in March 1887 and began the arduous task of teaching Keller language and communication. Anne Sullivan's method involved using sign language to spell out words into Helen's hand, enabling her to associate objects with their names. One of their breakthrough moments occurred at the water pump at Keller's family home, where Sullivan spelled "water" into Keller's hand while pumping water over her other hand. This moment marked Keller's understanding of language and set the stage for her future education. Under Sullivan's patient and dedicated guidance, Keller made rapid progress. By the age of 10, she had learned to read Braille and mastered several languages, including French and German. She attended the Perkins School for the Blind and later the Wright Hugh Mason School for the Deaf, excelling academically despite her disabilities. Keller's determination and intellect caught the attention of philanthropist and industrialist Andrew Carnegie, who funded her education at Radcliffe College, the women's affiliate of Harvard University. In 1904, Keller graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts degree, becoming the first deaf-blind person to earn a college degree. Throughout her life, Keller was a passionate advocate for people with disabilities, speaking out on issues such as education, employment, and social integration. She traveled extensively, delivering speeches and lectures that raised awareness about the capabilities of people with disabilities and the need for equal opportunities. Keller's literary career began with her autobiography, The Story of My Life, published in 1903, which chronicled her early years and education with Anne Sullivan. The book was a tremendous success, translated into numerous languages and inspiring readers worldwide with its message of perseverance and triumph over adversity. She went on to write several more books, including The World I Live In, 1908, exploring her sensory experiences and inner thoughts, and Out of the Dark, 1913, a collection of essays on socialism, women's rights, and other social issues. Keller's writings reflected her progressive views and commitment to social justice. Keller was also deeply involved in political activism. She was a staunch advocate for women's suffrage, civil rights, and pacifism. She joined the Socialist Party of America and supported various progressive causes, including labor rights and the rights of marginalized communities. During World War I, Keller focused her efforts on raising funds for the American Foundation for the Blind, which she co-founded in 1921 to advocate for the blind and visually impaired. She served as a counselor and lecturer for the foundation, promoting education, rehabilitation, and employment opportunities for people with disabilities. In her later years, Keller continued to travel and lecture despite declining health. She received numerous awards and honors for her advocacy work, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Keller's life and achievements inspired generations of people with disabilities and contributed significantly to changing societal attitudes towards disability. Helen Keller passed away on June 1, 1968, at her home in Easton, Connecticut. Her legacy lives on through the Helen Keller International Organization, which focuses on vision, health, and nutrition initiatives worldwide, and the Helen Keller Archives at the American Foundation for the Blind, preserving her writings and legacy. Helen Keller's life was a testament to the power of determination, education, and advocacy. Despite facing immense physical challenges, she became a symbol of hope and inspiration for people with disabilities worldwide. Keller's legacy extends beyond her personal achievements to her lifelong commitment to improving the lives of others and promoting social justice. Her story continues to remind us of the importance of perseverance, empathy, and equality in creating a more inclusive society. Mileva Marić, born on December 19, 1875, in Titel, Serbia, was a trailblazing physicist and mathematician whose contributions to early 20th century science remain a subject of significant interest and speculation. Growing up in a well-off Serbian family, Mileva demonstrated remarkable academic prowess from a young age. Her father, Milos Marić, was a prosperous military officer who strongly supported Mileva's educational ambitions, an uncommon stance for the era, especially in the Balkans. Mileva's academic journey began in earnest when she enrolled in an all-boys high school in Zagreb, Croatia, in 1892, where she excelled in mathematics and physics. Her exceptional grades and keen interest in the sciences led her to the Royal Classical High School in Zagreb and then to the University of Zurich, where she was one of the first women to study physics. In 1896, she transferred to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic, now at Zurich, a prestigious institution where she met Albert Einstein. At the Polytechnic, she was the only woman in her section of the Mathematics and Physics Teaching Diploma course. Mileva and Albert's shared passion for physics and mathematics quickly bonded them, both personally and intellectually. They often studied together, discussing complex scientific ideas and theories. Despite her academic brilliance, Mileva faced numerous obstacles. She failed her final exams twice and thus did not receive her diploma, a failure that overshadowed her undeniable contributions to scientific discussions and experiments with Einstein. They married on January 6, 1903, after a period of familial disapproval and societal pressure due to Mileva's pregnancy with their first child, Liesl, whose fate remains largely unknown. The early years of their marriage were marked by intense collaboration. Letters between Mileva and Albert suggest a deep intellectual partnership. Albert's seminal 1905 papers, including the special theory of relativity, are believed by some historians to have been influenced by Mileva's insights and mathematical expertise. However, Einstein's meteoric rise in the scientific community began to create a rift between them, exacerbated by his demanding career and the growing family responsibilities. The strain on their marriage became pronounced after the birth of their two sons, Hans Albert, 1904, and Eduard, 1910. Eduard, in particular, required significant attention due to his later mental health issues. By 1914, the marriage had deteriorated to the point of separation, with Einstein moving to Berlin and Mileva staying in Zurich with their children. The couple formally divorced in 1919. Despite their separation, Einstein agreed to give Mileva the monetary award from his Nobel Prize in Physics, which he won in 1921, to support their son's upbringing and education. Following the divorce, Mileva's life was characterized by financial struggles and health challenges. She dedicated herself to the care of her sons, particularly Eduard, who suffered from schizophrenia. Despite these personal hardships, she continued to tutor students in mathematics and physics to make ends meet. Mileva Marić passed away on August 4, 1948, in Zurich. Her death marked the end of a life filled with both academic promise and personal trials. In recent years, there has been growing recognition of her potential contributions to early 20th century physics, with many advocating for a reassessment of her role in Einstein's groundbreaking work. Mileva Marić's story is emblematic of many women in science whose contributions were overshadowed by their male counterparts. While concrete evidence of her contributions to Einstein's work remains elusive, her intellectual partnership with one of the greatest minds in history warrants acknowledgement. Her perseverance in the face of societal and personal obstacles is a testament to her resilience and dedication to science. Thank you for watching this video about some of the most interesting women of the 1900s. If you like this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe.